Bruce Lee's unique martial art, a philosophy. Beyond fighting, David had always admired Bruce Lee, not just for his lightning-fast punches, but for his deep wisdom. As a young martial artist, David initially saw fighting as a way to prove himself. He trained tirelessly, perfecting his kicks and punches, but something always felt incomplete. One day, his master handed him a copy of the Tao of Jeet Kune. Bruce Lee's philosophy is more than just fighting, the master said. It's about adapting, flowing, and living with purpose. David started to see martial arts differently. It wasn't just about defeating an opponent. It was about mastering oneself. He applied Bruce Lee's principle of be like water, not only in combat, but in life, adapting to challenges, embracing change, and staying calm under pressure. Years later, David faced a personal crisis. His father fell ill, and financial burdens mounted. The old David might have felt trapped, but remembering Bruce Lee's wisdom, he adapted. He found new ways to support his family, started teaching martial arts, and learned to move with life rather than against it. Bruce Lee's philosophy had transformed him. Fighting was just the surface. True martial arts was about living fully, with balance, wisdom, and an open mind. Bruce Lee's unique martial art, a philosophy beyond fighting. David had always admired Bruce Lee, not just for his incredible speed and power, but for the wisdom behind his movements. As a child, he spent hours watching Enter the Dragon and reading about Lee's legendary techniques. But as he grew older and started training in martial arts himself, he realized that Bruce Lee's impact went far beyond the physical aspects of combat. At first, David approached martial arts the way most young fighters did. He wanted to be strong, to win fights, to prove himself. He trained relentlessly, pushing his body to the limit, but something always felt missing. No matter how fast his punches became or how powerful his kicks were, there was a sense of emptiness in his training. He had the skill, but not the deeper understanding. One day, his martial arts instructor, Master Liu, handed him a worn-out book with yellowed pages. It was the Tao of Jeet Kune. Bruce Lee's philosophy is more than just fighting, Master Liu said. It's about adaptability, flow, and mastering yourself. Read this, and you'll begin to understand what true martial arts is. Curious, David started reading. He was struck by Lee's famous words, "Be like water, my friend." The idea was simple, yet profound. Water adapts, flows around obstacles, and takes the shape of whatever it encounters. It is powerful, not because it resists, but because it moves with ease. David began to apply this concept to his training. He stopped focusing solely on brute force and started paying attention to his movements, how his body responded, how his mind influenced his actions. He learned to move with purpose rather than aggression. His fights became less about overpowering an opponent and more about finding the right moment, the right angle, the right energy. But the real test of Bruce Lee's philosophy came outside the dojo. David's father suddenly fell ill, and the medical bills piled up. His family was struggling financially, and he felt the weight of responsibility pressed down on him. The old David, the one obsessed with proving his strength, might have reacted with frustration and panic, but now he thought of water. Instead of resisting the situation, he adapted. He took on new challenges, started teaching martial arts to younger students, and even began working odd jobs to support his family. He found creative solutions instead of fighting against the inevitable. Through this journey, he realized that martial arts, at its core, was not about defeating others, but about mastering oneself. Strength wasn't just physical, it was mental, emotional, and spiritual. Bruce Lee had taught him something that no amount of training could. the art of living. Years later, David became a martial arts instructor himself. His students came to him expecting to learn how to fight, just as he once had. But he taught them something deeper. Martial arts is not just about combat, he told them. It's about how you face life. Be like water, adapt, flow, and never stop growing. And in that moment, he knew Bruce Lee's philosophy had truly changed his life. Bruce Lee's unique martial art, a philosophy beyond fighting. David had always been fascinated by Bruce Lee. As a child, he would sit cross-legged on the floor, watching Enter the Dragon, with wide eyes, mesmerized by the way Bruce moved. So fast, so fluid, so effortless. He wasn't just fighting. He was expressing something deeper, something almost spiritual. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, David quickly learned that strength mattered. He saw bullies pick on the weak, saw street fights break out over the smallest disagreements. At 15, he joined a local gym and trained harder than anyone. He punched the heavy bag until his knuckles bled, pushed his body to its limits, and learned to strike with precision and speed. At first, he felt powerful, confident. He won sparring matches, earned the respect of his peers, and even got the attention of some local fighters. But deep down, something felt off. He had the skill, but he lacked something crucial: understanding. He was strong, but was he truly a martial artist? One evening, after an intense training session, his instructor, Master Liu, approached him. "You have speed and strength," Master Liu said, "but you're missing the essence of martial arts." David frowned. "What do you mean? I train every day. I win fights." Master Liu smiled knowingly and handed him an old worn-out book with yellowed pages. "The Tao of Jeet Kune by Bruce Lee. Read this," he said. "Martial arts is not about defeating others. It's about mastering yourself." Skeptical but curious, David began reading that night. He expected techniques, strategies, maybe secret fighting tips. Instead, he found philosophy. He read about being like water, how water adapts, flows around obstacles, and takes the shape of whatever it encounters. He read about the importance of flexibility, not just in combat, but in life itself. The more he read, the more he realized how wrong he had been. He had approached martial arts as a tool for dominance, but Bruce Lee saw it as a path to self-discovery. Fighting wasn't about brute force. It was about movement, timing, awareness, and most importantly, it was about the mind. Determined to apply this wisdom, David changed his training. He stopped relying solely on aggression and started focusing on control and flow. He began to move with ease, reading his opponents rather than overpowering them. He no longer fought just to win. He fought to learn. But it wasn't in the ring where Bruce Lee's philosophy truly tested him. It was in life. One day, David's world turned upside down. His father was diagnosed with a serious illness, and the medical bills piled up. His family was struggling, and suddenly, everything he had worked for seemed meaningless. The old David, the one who fought with anger and ego, might have lashed out, feeling helpless and frustrated. But he remembered Bruce Lee's words, "Be like water." Instead of resisting the situation, he adapted. He took on extra work, started teaching martial arts to younger students, and found new ways to support his family. He didn't let stress consume him. He flowed with the changes, adjusting his mindset, staying calm under pressure. Through this experience, he realized that true strength wasn't about how hard he could hit, but how well he could endure, adapt, and grow. Bruce Lee's philosophy had transformed him. not just as a fighter, but as a person. Years later, David opened his own martial arts school. Young students came in, eager to learn how to fight, just as he once had. But he didn't just teach them how to punch and kick, he taught them how to think, how to adapt, how to flow with life. One evening, after class, a student asked him, "Sensei, what's the most important thing in martial arts?" David smiled, remembering the words that had changed his life. "Martial arts is not about fighting," he said. "It's about how you face life. Be like water, adapt, flow, and never stop learning." And in that moment, he knew he had truly understood Bruce Lee's greatest lesson.